Hey guys, my name is Sebastian. Welcome back to Instant Arma. This is a new episode of our Advanced Equipment for Arma 3 developer report. This is episode number 6 and it's all about the new and upcoming features within the 0.5.3 update. I think this update will be released within the next 2 weeks. Prior to that, I think there will be a release candidate and you can test it on your own and give us feedback. But now I want to show you which new features are in there. And the first thing you already noticed is here's another language setup in Arma, because with this update we have support for the Italian language. So everything within the mod is translated into Italian, like in this module. So all Italian people can now use advanced equipment in their own language, and also the terminal, the armaOS terminal, now supports the Italian keyboard layout. That's the first thing I want to show you, and now let me switch back to English version of Arma 3, otherwise I can't use it, so give it a break. So now we are back in the English version, and talking of languages, if you are watching this video and English is not your preferred language, please use the automatic translation of subtitles that YouTube provides. You only need to click on the video settings and then you can choose your own language that will be automatically translated into. So you can read what I'm saying, and perhaps it's easier for you to understand what I'm trying to say. The features that I will introduce today will be demonstrated in this video one by one, and you can directly jump to the corresponding video position by using the chapters. So have a look into the chapters if you're only interested in a specific feature. The features I want to show you today is a new encryption algorithm thanks to Zeus. The encryption algorithm is called Columnar, and I will show you that. Related to that, we added to the addFile module the ability to directly encrypt files as a mission maker in Eden editor. So in the module you can enable file encryption. We reorganized the assets so they are easier to find, and some now have their original name like they always should, but never had. We added new power generators, so there are a few new assets I will show you. And the two main features within this update are UI on texture. This feature allows surrounding players to see if someone is using an ArmaOS computer, so he can see what the other player is typing on the screen live. And last but not least, we added Zeus support, so now you can add, remove, change and use modules in Zeus mode, and I will show you the major differences and how to use them. So let's pick them one by one. The first thing first, the columnar encryption. In file modules, now you can choose another encryption algorithm. You know, have the ability to encrypt files, not only to create them with custom text or code, but now you can activate. Oh, I see. This is the German version. I will switch to English version. One moment. So now we are back in the English version, and you can see now in the addFile module you have additional options. The last 3 ones on the bottom of the list. First, you can enable encryption for your file. Then you can choose between the 2 algorithms. You already know the Caesar algorithm, and now you can use additionally the Columnar algorithm. This algorithm works differently. It separates your text in multiple columns and uses a password to interchange these columns. It's not easier. No. It's harder. It's harder to try to decrypt a text that uses a columnar algorithm if you don't have the appropriate tools. So you should always use the tools to encrypt and decrypt such files. And an additional advantage is that you not only use a number like in the Caesar algorithm to tell the offset of the letters to be shifted, but you can use a real password. These passwords can have upper and lowercase characters and numbers and so on, so perhaps it's more flexible for you to use. And last but not least, the encryption key is the password, so you can type whatever you want to encrypt a file. Also, the commands, the armaOS commands to encrypt and decrypt now support the columnar encryption, and I will show you that live. So if you are in the armaOS terminal, you can use now the crypto command to encrypt in the columnar algorithm. So let's say, for example, we want to use the mode encrypt and the algorithm columnar and the key, let's say, very simple password. And now the text we want to encrypt, make Arma not war. So now you see the text is encrypted, and you see that there are a lot of underscores, you know, the lines beneath. That is necessary because the columnar algorithm needs to be aligned. The text length needs to be aligned with the length of the password. It needs to be a multiple of that. So if there are characters missing, they are filled up, so you can use any length of text or any length of password, but the algorithm originally needs specific lengths of text and password, but we can work around with that. So now we have an encrypted text, and we can also decrypt the text. So let's say we want to decrypt, and now I need to enter the text. Give it a moment. Yes, of course, the key needs to be set to password. And there we have an error. Don't know why. Password, the blank is wrong. Remove that. And now it should work. There you can see our text is decrypted now, make Arma not war, and you see that the length is now a multiple of our password, which is password, that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters. So I think that are 16 or 24 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So yes, you see the text needs to be a multiple of the password length, but it's automatically filled up with underscores. Also, you see the blanks are filled with underscores because otherwise you can't distinguish later if it's a sign that is used to fill up or if it's a blank space. Believe me, it's easier to work that way, but I think that is not a major problem if you want to use this encryption algorithm. So, the encryption algorithm is one new feature. The addFile module modification I already showed you, that you can now enable encryption as well there. What have we done additionally? We changed the way the advanced equipment assets are organized. So now all advanced equipment objects are organized within its own category. Here in the yellow props category, you find advanced equipment objects, and there all assets are organized, except, you know, the generators, because generators are vehicles, so they are here under blue 4. There you see already the new generators, but now it's easier for you to find these assets because there are already 2 of them, the one that supports advanced equipment and the one that does not. For example, the laptops. If I search for laptop, you see that there are the non-supported laptops, and here you see the other icon, the supported laptops. And here in Eden Editor, it's easy to distinguish between them because they have the icons and you know which one is which, even though they have the identical names. But in the Zeus asset browser, in Zeus mode, you don't have these icons and you can't distinguish between the advanced equipment assets and the other assets. So I decided to put them all in their own category, so it's easy for you to find them, and because it starts with an A, it's very likely the first category in the list. I will show you that later. And as I promised, the next feature, we have new power generators. You already know this one, in the 3 colors, the rect portable generator. But now we have some additional generators. This one, it's most likely the same, with the same features, movable 5 liters of fuel and so on. But now we have some bigger types, like this one, and this one, and their main difference is the amount of fuel they can hold. You can see a list on our wiki. There is a new page on our wiki on GitHub that shows all supported assets and their main features, like how much fuel they can hold, and like before, you can change the amount in percent here in the options of the asset. So these are the new generators. You need to know this one, and this one, they are not movable. So if you place them, they will stay there. You can't drag or carry them. these ones are draggable. It's a very important difference. So what's next? You see, we are very fast through some of the features, but now the two big ones. The first is UI on texture. UI on texture is a new feature that you can set up in the add-on options. There you have under advanced equipment main, no, not here, under armaOS, you have a new option, UI on texture, and you can enable that. All players that want to share what they do on the screen need to enable this option, and also the ones who want to see something. It's mainly for performance that you can enable and disable the option, and you can do this via mid-mission, so you can try it out and turn it off again. But I want to show you how it looks like. So let's get into a mission in a multiplayer environment with more than one player, so you can see what's happening. So now we are back and see here a setup with a dedicated server and 3 instances of Arma 3. And now let's have a look on the top left instance. What are the add-on options now for UI on texture? UI on texture is currently disabled. It's only enabled here on the client, and this is the option that is enforced. It's not overwritten by mission or by server, so we should see the feature. Now if we go to the laptop and turn it on, laptop, turn on. This is not the UI on texture feature. These are only static images that are cycled through to give a illusion of such a screen, and also this is a static image. But now if I start armaOS, you see the color switched on the screen. And there is the same text and everything like here in my window. And now if I switch to the top right instance of Arma 3, we should see there after a short moment these were synced, so this player sees now the same as the other player. Now I want to try to type something like the login admin 123, and you see the same happens here in this window on the top right, and you can see the text that was typed there. If I could reach the screen any further, it would be easier to see, but there you can see that. Perhaps it's easier if I switch to another layout design. So if I switch to black or blue or green, you see that immediately. So everything is synced: the design, the texts, the input, every keystroke. So if a team is using the laptop and only one can type, the people around could also see what's happening there. So now what's with the third one on the left bottom side? This one, if he zooms in, you see he already has still has the default screen. Why is that? Because this feature only syncs for players in a circle around around the laptop. I don't know exactly, but I think something like 3, 5, 10 meters, anything in between. I'm not sure at the moment. But the player needs to be inside that range to see something. And he needs to have enabled the UI on texture feature. So let's demonstrate if this player, configure add-on options, armaOS, if this player leaves UI on texture disabled. Now if he approaches the laptop, the content is still synced. Okay, then the feature only distinguishes if the sender has enabled the UI on texture feature, and the sender is the one who uses the laptop or used the laptop at last. In this case, that is this one here with the movable window. So I don't know if you noticed that already, but you can move the window around. Yes. So that's the feature, UI on texture. Everyone around a laptop can see that UI on texture, what has been typed, and so on, commands and outputs. But I still want to show you if the feature is disabled, what is happening then. Configure add-on options. Now the sender that uses the laptop has disabled the feature, armaOS use. And now I switch to another color like orange. And you see on this screen here that the color hasn't changed. So the one that uses the laptop decides whether or not decides whether or not other players around can see what's on the screen. Yeah, that's a feature, UI on texture. I hope I could explain that well. That was one of the two major features for this update, but there was another one, the Zeus support, and I will show you that now. So now we are still on the dedicated server with our player, and this player has the ability to enter the Zeus mode. And you already know that prior to this update, everything related to advanced equipment needed to be pre-placed in the Eden editor, and you couldn't change any of these assets or spawn new assets while you're in the mission, and that was quite uncomfortable because mission makers need to have the opportunity to make changes while in a mission. It's very usual. So you pre-build your mission, but there happens something in your mission and you need to react to that, and for that you need to be able to spawn assets, to change assets, to remove them, and that now is possible, and I will show you that. First of all, you can spawn now advanced equipment assets. As I already mentioned, there is a new asset category that is called advanced equipment, and everything related to advanced equipment could be found here. One special note, the generators are found in this category, in this yellow props category. That is only the case in Zeus mode. Why? In Zeus mode, you have two options to place these generators. The one is from that category, and the other one is from Blue 4 category, because with that the decision is made, because it's a vehicle, If the vehicle is spawned with or without AI, that doesn't make sense for us, but that explains why the generators are found under blue 4 and also under the yellow props category. So all assets can be found here, and as you see, I mentioned it earlier, there are no icons that show you from which mod the assets are, so you need this category to identify them. And all assets can be found here. You have the generators, you have battery packs, you have a laptop, router, solar panel, all the lamps, etc. And you already noticed every time I place such a prop, there spawns a new window, and the window is always the same for all these assets, and it shows you basic functions and basic functions and values of these assets. First of all, the name of the asset is shown in the title of this window. If this asset has a AE3 cargo name, this cargo name is also mentioned here. Why is that? That's the only option we have to distinguish between identical devices, and if you have two of them, you don't know which one is which if you use the interaction menus, and if you set such a name, it's easier to distinguish which one is which. Let me show you that. For every asset that is currently loadable, and loadable are only assets without any current connection. This one is currently connected to the generator, but if I use this lamp here, this lamp is currently drag and loadable, and if it's loadable, it's also renameable. It has this rename option. And we can set a name, for example, my test lamp, that's the name. And this name now shows up in Zeus mode. If I double click this lamp, let me enable all the editable objects. So now you see my test lamp is mentioned here. This ACE cargo name is also used within our interaction menus. So if you connect to, you know the problem, if you have, for example, an unconscious person and want to load this unconscious person into a nearby car, if there are more than one identical cars, you don't know which one is which, because the menu item entry always has the same name, like, I don't know, car. Both items are named car, and you don't know if it's the left one or if it's the right one. But with this rename option, if you have renamed your items, for example, you have given the generators different names, you see in the interaction menu which generator is which, because the name is mentioned after the name of the item, like it's here in the menu bar, in the title bar. So I hope it's easier for you to use it. Then for every asset there is a text window with informations. You can't type in here, but if you click on it and move the up and down arrows on the specific arrow keys, not WASD, but the arrow keys, you can scroll up and down and see some important information about this item. For example, if it's turned on or if it's turned off. Let me show you that with this generator. This generator is currently powered off, but we have these buttons down here, and now we can turn on, turn off this generator. These buttons only work if they make sense in the current situation. For example, now it's turned off, And if I try to turn off, you get the message here, can't turn off device because it's already turned off. But a turned off device can be turned on. And now you get the feedback that the device is turned on, and we now see the text switched here. Device power state is now on, and the current power output is 100 kilowatts. If it's turned off, it's 0 kilowatts. So now we can turn off, and you see it's switched to 0 kilowatts. So with that, you have control as the Zeus about these assets. You can control them, you can turn on, turn off, stand by them. That already works, also works for the laptop. The laptop needs some time to respond because every action takes multiple seconds. So perhaps you don't get an immediate feedback. For example, if I say standby, then it took 1, 2, 3 seconds to get in standby. And if I now turn on, you see it takes some time, but now there was a sound and now it's turned on. The standby only works for the laptop. The button is always there. In a future update, I will only show these buttons if they make sense. You don't need to try them, but you can't destroy something because they only work if they make sense. For example, the open and close option can close the laptop, which also puts the device in standby, and you can open it, but you can't open it if it's already open, so you get the message can't open object. Also, these options are always available if they make sense. For example, there is this desk, and this desk can also be closed and opened. Let's change the view angle so you can see something. So now it's open, and now I can close it and open it and close it and open it. So these options are available where they make sense. Also, you have 2 slider bars for battery level and fuel level, and they are grayed out if, for example, the laptop doesn't have any fuel, so it's grayed out, but it has a battery level, and you can adjust the battery level while you are in mid-mission. So now the battery level is 66%, but you can change that to, for example, 15%. And now if I leave the Zeus mode and go to the laptop and check the battery level, here you see it's already a very low symbol, and you see 14.9. Because it's running, it's already reducing the level 14.9%. So you should reload the battery, for example, by connecting it to a generator or to a solar panel or something like that. The other way around, the generators doesn't have battery levels, but they have fuel levels. And like for the battery levels, you can adjust the fuel level here while you're in mid-mission, and confirm with OK, and then it is set. It's only set if you leave the dialog with OK. If you hit cancel, nothing happens. It's important to know for you. Also, the laptop has the most options because it has the most features, and you see the laptop also shows its current IP address. If you are in the window here and clicked in the status window and scroll down with the arrow keys, you can see on the bottom its IP address, and the IP address you can also see, for example, this router. This router has another IP address, but it's currently turned off, so the laptop doesn't get its IP address from this router, but we could try to turn it on. He says that he turned it on, but nothing happens. Why is that? Because this router is currently connected to this generator. You can't see the connections, but it's connected to this generator, but the generator is also off. So let's turn on the generator. Its status is on. It's producing 100 kilowatts. And now we can turn on the router, turn on, and you see the router changed its status to on, and now there's already a network connection between the router and the laptop. This was established in the Eden editor, but isn't visible in the Zeus editor. Now, if we check the window, it has another IP address. This IP address the laptop has got from the router, so you can see now live what's the network status of these devices. Speaking of connections, you not only can place new assets, but you can also establish new connections. This I go to an empty space to demonstrate that. This is not the most not the easiest way to do that. I think I will come up with an easier way to establish connections in the future, but for now that's the way we can do it. We need a generator. I already will turn on the generator, and then we need a router, this one, okay, and another laptop, this one, okay. And now we can add connections, and these connections will be made with a new introduced module. This module is called addConnection, and it works that way that you link two assets to this module. The first link is from the consumer, and the second link is from the provider. So if you want to get power from the generator, or the other way around, you want to connect a router that is the consumer of the power from the router to the generator, and the generator is the provider. So the provider here needs to mention the generator, and the consumer needs to mention the router. And now we create the connections. You need to hold Shift and Control, and then you can click and drag, and this will establish a connection. And you see it's only one connection, so it's only the first one here, and now we can create another one. And now you can see it's from the laptop to the router. And now you need to decide which type is the connection. In this specific type, we want to create a network connection, because the router is connected via the laptop is connected via network to the router. And if you had the wrong order, you can switch the order with this switch button, so you can correct what you have done if it's not the correct way around. So now we can create a connection from the laptop to the router as a network connection. And let's create another connection. You see the module disappeared because now the connection is established. Currently there is no way for me to show these active connections. I hope that I will find a way in the future to somehow illustrate these connections, perhaps by drawing lines in the Zeus mode, but for now I'm not able to do that. So the next connection is a power connection from the router to the generator. So let's check. The consumer is the router. This one consumes the power, and the diesel ground power unit provides the power. So the connection type power is correct. Okay. The generator is already running. The router is off, but now I should be able to turn it on because it has the connection. And you see it. You can see it switched to on, and the laptop now also should have the IP address. It's the same IP address like on the other router because they are not interconnected, and therefore they can have the same IP address. There are possibilities to how should I say that, to hierarchy, to connect routers to routers and create bigger networks, but it's only basic support, so you should use this feature carefully. For now there are no specific network commands except of the ping command, so it doesn't make much sense at the moment, but I will tell you everything. Yes, that's not all for the Zeus support. We also need the modules that we already know from the Eden editor, and I recreated all of them, so now you can use them to, for example, add a user to a laptop, and you define here username and password. You need to add this module directly on the laptop. If you place it on the side, you get the message that you need to place it on a laptop or a computer. So add user. So now we've added a user. I think I restricted these modules that they only work if currently the laptop isn't used by a player, to prevent some hiccup when Zeus and the player make any changes. So either Zeus is placing a module or a user is using the laptop, but you can't place a module on the laptop while it's in use. So now we added a user, and we can also add a file, and this dialog is already familiar. It's slightly different organized, but it's the same options as you already know. Permissions, the encryption, owner, code, for example. So let's add test file here so I can show you that it works. Test file, then a test directory, test dir, and we add the game module, the snake game, and we add the security commands, crypto and crack. So now we've added everything, and if we leave the Zeus mode and run to our laptop, it's this one here, we should be able to log in as admin and use the commands and see the files and folders. So let's try it out. So, admin, yes, login successful, that worked. And now let's see in the root directory, there's our test directory and there's our test file, and test file content is as expected, and games, snake. Yes, the snake game is available. You see, the game is not synced with the UI on texture feature, so that doesn't work. It's only for the terminal that is synced. but crypto and crack are also available. So, proven that it works. I think that's all for today for the new upcoming 0.5.3 update of our advanced equipment for Arma 3 mod. Thank you for your attention. I hope you like it. Feel free to support us with your suggestions, with your ideas. Perhaps with translations. I would be very happy if one of the next supported languages could be Spanish, because I think there is a huge Spanish Arma community out there. Also, you can join our team if you want to. That would decrease our development time, and perhaps we could provide more updates more quickly. But for now, we are only 2 persons, so it takes a very long time every update. Sorry for that. Feel free to leave comments. I read everything. Test the release candidate. If it pops out, I will inform about that. If you want to get in touch with us, join my Discord. The link is in the description. And yeah. Anything else I need to mention? Let me think about it. Thank you. That's the most important thing. Thank you so much for all your love, for your support, for your interest. There are a lot of subscribers of this mod. I never expected that, but there are a lot of people who like this mod. And thanks to the new contributors, thanks to Jules, who added the columnar encryption. Jules, another member of the, this side of Gruppe Adler, my clan. And yes, I think that's for today. And till then.